All right, let's tackle one of the biggest, most fundamental questions in all of human history. Why are some parts of the world so rich while others are so poor? We're going to dive into the incredible argument from Jared Diamond's book, Guns, Germs, and Steel, to figure out why wealth and power spread across the globe so unevenly. And let me tell you, the answer is probably not what you think.
So, to get our heads around this huge question, we're going to zoom right in on one single unbelievable moment in history. A collision of two worlds that happened high up in the mountains of Peru.
Take a look at these numbers. On one side, you have Francisco Pizarro and his tiny band of Spanish conquistadors, just 168 of them. On the other side, the massive army of the Inca Empire. We're talking 80,000 soldiers, led by their god king, Atahualpa. I mean, the odds here look completely, laughably impossible, right?
And yet, what happened next is, well, it's just mind-boggling. In just a couple of hours, the Spaniards completely shattered the Incan force, killed thousands of them, and captured the emperor himself, all without losing a single man. This one brutal event shows you everything you need to know about the insane power imbalance that was about to shape the entire world.
So you're probably thinking, okay, the reason for this is obvious, right? Pizarro had better weapons. He had steel swords, steel armor, horses that acted like ancient tanks, and even a few primitive guns. But hold on, that's not the real answer. That just leads us to a much, much deeper question.
See this crazy lopsided battle? It wasn't a one-off thing. Not at all. It was just one example of a huge global pattern. A pattern that was perfectly summed up in a question asked by a man from New Guinea named Yali.
In this question he asked about cargo. And by cargo he meant everything. All the manufactured stuff, from steel tools to medicine to candy bars. It gets to the absolute heart of the matter. Why did some societies develop so much stuff, so much wealth and power, while others didn't? Why did Pizarro's world have all this cargo, and Atahualpa's world had so little?
Okay, let's get one thing straight right off the bat. Any old, ugly explanation based on ideas about race or intelligence is completely, utterly wrong. Diamond's whole book is a demolition of that garbage. Yali himself knew it was nonsense. The answer has nothing to do with people's biology, it has everything to do with their geography. It's not about the people, it's about the place.
So, if we want to crack this case, we have to put on our detective hats. We need to learn the difference between the immediate clues and the deep-down motives, the real root causes.
First up, you've got what are called proximate causes. Think of these as the how. How did the Spanish win? Easy. They had the tools, the guns, the germs, and the steel. That tells us what happened, but it doesn't tell us the most important part.
To find the real story, we have to dig for the ultimate causes. These are the whys. Why did Europeans have those tools in the first place while the Incas didn't? Answering that question, well, that changes everything.
And here's how it all connects. It's like a chain reaction, a series of dominoes. And it all starts with something as random as geographic luck, just the raw materials that your continent happens to have. That luck kickstarts farming, which allows big, complex societies to form, and those societies are the ones that eventually create the guns, germs, and steel. So let's follow that chain, starting with farming.
You know, for most of our time on this planet, we were just wandering around, hunting and gathering. But then, a little over 10,000 years ago, some groups started farming. And that decision, that shift to producing our own food, was maybe the single biggest turning point in the entire story of humanity.
See, when you start farming, you suddenly have way more food than you need to survive day to day. You have a surplus, and that surplus is a game changer. It means not everyone has to be a farmer anymore. Some people can become specialists, inventors, soldiers, priests, kings. You can build cities. And living side by side with your domesticated animals, you get exposed to their diseases. Over centuries, you build up immunity, and those diseases become, well, they become unintentional biological weapons, the germs in guns, germs, and steel.
Okay, so farming is the key. But that just leads to the next question, right? Why did farming take off in Eurasia so early and not so much in other places? And the answer is, well, it's just sheer dumb geographic luck. Just look at this chart. It's actually staggering. If you want a powerful farming society, you need big animals you can domesticate for meat, milk, muscle power. And it turns out Eurasia just hit the jackpot. It had tons of candidates, like wild cows, pigs, sheep, and horses. The Americas, basically just one, the llama. Africa and Australia, even fewer.
So why were there so few? Well, Diamond has this brilliant way of explaining it he calls the Anna Karenina principle from the famous novel.
The idea is that for an animal to be domesticated, it needs a whole bunch of things to be right. Its diet, its temperament, its social life. If even one of those things is wrong, like if it's too mean or too picky an eater, the whole effort is doomed. It's an all-or-nothing deal.
But even beyond the animals and plants, there was another advantage, one that's so big and so simple you could easily miss it. It's the very shape of the continents themselves.
Think about it. Eurasia is basically wide. It runs east to west. That means a crop domesticated in, say, the Middle East can spread for thousands of miles across Europe and Asia because the climate is roughly the same. An idea or a technology can travel with it. Now look at the Americas or Africa. They run north to south, so trying to move a crop from Mexico down to Peru means crossing through jungles and deserts and huge climate changes. It's just way, way harder. The spread of everything was drastically slower.
Okay, so let's put all the pieces together. Let's connect the dots from the shape of continents and the luck of the draw with animals, all the way back to Pizarro, Yali, and the world we live in right now.
So the verdict of history? It wasn't about the people. It was never about the people. It was about the land they happened to live on. Pizarro conquered Atahualpa because he stood at the end of a 10,000-year chain of geographic advantages that he had absolutely nothing to do with. He was just an heir to a continent that was dealt a better hand.
And that leaves us with a huge question for today. In our hyper-connected, globalized world where ideas can cross the planet in an instant, has geography's power over our destiny finally faded? Or, with things like climate change redrawing the map of resources, is it just changing its disguise?